If you ever watched Disney's Hercules and thought, I'm really digging this, but it'd be great if Hercules could jump up and tear the testicles off of one of those titans, then this might be the cartoon for you. So I just completed all 8 episodes of Blood of Zeus, a new Netflix original anime series, and it was fine. In fact, it was a lot of fun. If you're like me, you tuned into it because you enjoy the aesthetic of Castlevania, and this was released by the same studio. It's not the greatest animation of all time, but it certainly exceeds my standard. What I'm going to try to focus on with the Dungeon Fuel segments is media that help bring something new to your Dungeons & Dragons game. They have new fantasy concepts and ideas, and that just isn't here. But since I did watch it, and I know a lot of people who watch this channel are going to watch that also, I figure I'd offer a quick review anyway, since I did just power through all 8 episodes in one sitting. You're not going to find anything too new or revolutionary here. It works in a lot of the same tropes you've seen in Greek pantheon-based action stories. It very much is a synthesis of Percy Jackson, Clash of the Titans, and even Disney's Hercules. A young demigod, or possibly a pair of young demigods, get caught up in the plots and scheming of the Greek pantheon. This involves traveling to and through dangerous places and fighting a lot of monsters. Our main character is a little bland, but the antagonist of the story is kind of interesting. They have a very Sith versus Jedi relationship. They're brothers, and each one is trying to entice the other over to their side. But there is an awful lot of animated blood and guts, including a scene that made me jump back and say, whoa, involving Cerberus, the 3-headed hound. It's got a high level of violence, but I did just finish streaming the first 2 seasons of The Boys, so I might have been a little less sensitive than your average viewer. There is a fair amount of exposition, but it moves along quickly. It doesn't seem to slow down the story at all. There aren't many attempts at humor in this, and that's a good thing. The character Evios is supposed to be our comic relief, but he's got kind of an anachronistic dry sarcasm. It feels like he was supposed to be an anachronistic wise guy, kind of like Iago in the Aladdin films. We must protect Olympus from the marching demon horde.
I agree, because I was a slave gladiator.
Is it me, or is it weird that I'm the only one here wearing pants? Normally that kind of thing would work, but the tone is off, but also the timing. It doesn't quite feel quick enough. I mean, Gilbert Gottfried, love him or hate him, he understands comedy, and when he delivers lines as Iago, they always land. That isn't going on here, but it doesn't take away from the story overall. You really don't see much of Evios. There's a lot of stuff that's been clipped from other properties here, and not just Greek adventure stories, but also like Star Wars. There's a definite lightsaber that makes an appearance. The heads of the 2 pantheons fight each other with lightning and telekinesis. There are a couple of issues I think people are going to have with this show. Zeus has a relationship with a mortal woman in this story, and he comes to her in the form of her husband. And they get it on. And the thing is, when you do it that way, well, that's rape. If you appear as somebody else, you don't have consent. That person you appear as has consent. The way they kind of justify it is that neither her husband nor Zeus really has consent. But Zeus is a little more gentle about it. And there's sort of a romancing of this relationship. And no one ever calls out the rape. And that's weird. Also, throughout the series, Hera refers to this mortal woman as a whore, which would imply some level of consent on the part of the woman, and again, that just isn't there. Also, this makes Hera just look like a spiteful bitch. Like, it just makes her jealous, instead of being righteously angry that her husband was stepping out on her. She has no empathy for this human woman who had no say in what just occurred, but thinks she should pay equally for the sins of her husband. I am kind of tired of Hera always being the big bad villain in these things. They always sort of frame her as this evil shrew, trying to ruin Zeus's eternal bachelor party. I really wish there were some original ideas for your home D&D game in this show, but there just isn't. When people eat the flesh of monsters, they turn into other monsters. I don't know, I feel like that's been done before. When people have nightmares in this setting, they're actually being visited by, I don't know if he's a god or a demigod of dreams. Every person that dies is hand-delivered by Hermes to the underworld. I don't know, I've always been fine with the idea that your soul departs the body and just kind of goes where it belongs on its own. I'm not sure we need a hand delivery service for ectoplasm. I'm not telling you to skip it. If you like DC animated films and you don't mind watching one for 4 hours, this will probably appeal to you.